We continue going back to school. You see all the back to school signs up for the local malls. Well, we're doing it as well, except we're not going to the mall. We're going to the campuses and finding some of the most outstanding and brightest young student journalists, including Aidan Gallardo from the Daily Mississippian. He joins us. Aidan, thank you for the time. And what's it like being in your role right now with Lane Kiffin about to start another season? Good afternoon.
Hi, thank you, Paul, for having me. It's been a whirlwind of an off season, to be honest. There's so many new names coming in, so many new faces. We got a quarterback battle between Jackson Dart and Luke Altmaier, which is pretty interesting to see because it's pretty close, more close than people thought. So there's still not a clear cut quarterback one for week one. So they're still trying to figure that part out.
Aidan, I know it becomes almost cliche to talk about the coach because there are a lot of great players, as you mentioned, battling for positions and hoping to at least equal or improve on what Ole Miss did. But it's hard to get away from Lane Kiffin. What's he like in terms of the average student? I mean, you are an average student, but you're also a member of the media, so you have a closer view. But what is his rep on campus among the rank and file student?
Honestly, we love him. He's kind of relatable in a sense, just because he's one of the younger coaches in college football. So we could sort of relate to him a little bit. I don't know if you've heard of his dog Juice. He's been kind of the spotlight in recent weeks. He's got like 19,000 Twitter followers, which is crazy. So Kiffin's just kind of like a fun guy to be around. He's not too serious, but he's serious at times when he needs to be.
Aidan, I have heard of the dog, and I thought somebody asked me this the other day, and I heard about it, but I've not really paid any attention to it. But is this story true? And if so, can you explain how Lane Kiffin ended up recruiting a punter on Frat Row?
Oh man, I mean, I don't know too much about it, but I do know that. Well, I'm sure everyone knows that he was seen at like a frat house drinking, like at a party, which is pretty interesting to see coming from a punter who's, I think he's 250 pounds, I believe. So
Hmm.
it's pretty funny to see. But yeah.
Aidan, I don't know what's more surprising, the fact that a punter weighs 250 pounds or the fact that there's drinking going on the Ole Miss campus. But anyway, let me get back to football for a second here. Just in terms of expectations, the quarterback battle you've mentioned, it seems like a lot of great players have left this program. It's hard to keep up with everyone that has joined in the portal. Where are the strengths and the weaknesses of this team as you see it?
Well, the strengths I would say is surprisingly, or not, I don't think surprisingly, but it's offense. Ole Miss got a lot of offensive transfers, headlined by former five-star recruit out of high school, Zach Evans. He was at TCU last season, so he came over. Um, Quarterback or tight end Michael Trigg from USC, he played with Dart. So they have a little relationship with each other, which is always a plus. I think Michael Trigg could be really something special this year. I expect him to get a lot of looks in the red zone, and his size and speed like wide receiver ability, his hands, they kind of remind me of Michael or Kyle Pitts in a way. Um, but yeah, we got a lot of explosive players from the transfer portal.
Aiden, as you look at that schedule, and we'll show it for those who aren't as familiar as you in a minute, there's some breathers. I mean, last year, if I remember, Ole Miss started off in one of the neutral site games, and had a chance to get going. There's always difficult games. Of course, Alabama pops up, the usual suspects. This year it's Troy, Central Arkansas, and then at Georgia Tech, which is an unusual game, but certainly by no means extremely difficult in Tulsa. And then Kentucky and Vanderbilt. I mean, it looks to me as a schedule that is incredibly manageable early on. How do you see it?
No, yeah, I expect Ole Miss to go, I think, 9-3 at best. I don't think they'll struggle to start out the season. I think it's really easy to go 6-0 just because they played Troy, Central Arkansas, Georgia Tech, Tulsa. Kentucky might be a little challenge, but I think Ole Miss could come out with the win. But then, as you look towards the end of the season, you see matchups like Alabama. You see matchups like Texas A&M, Arkansas. So I think Ole Miss loses to 3 teams. I think Auburn, Alabama, and Texas A&M. Auburn because they've always given the Rebels fits in the past. I think they've won 6 or 7 straight against Ole Miss. And then Alabama's Alabama, so you just got to pray for that game. And then Texas A&M, they're really tough to beat at home. We saw that last year when they beat Alabama at Kyle Field. So it's also kind of early to tell how this group will perform just because there's so many new guys, so many new coaches. So we'll just have to see how the season unfolds.
Aidan, one thing that we're trying to do, and when we talk to young people like you on the campuses, is find out a little bit more about you and what you've done. I know you've done a lot of interesting things for a young reporter covering major league teams. Tell us about your background and what brought you to Oxford.
Yeah, so I'm from Miami, Florida. The first time I went to Oxford was when I was a sophomore in high school. I was going to visit my older brother who was at the time attending Ole Miss. So I remember going up for an LSU game. And the moment I went into the town, I just fell in love. The people there are just so close-knit. The campus is beautiful, and everyone there just loves football. SEC's the place to go. So being from Miami, Florida, it's such a big city. There's so many people. I think Oxford was a nice change of pace, and I just really enjoyed it.
Aidan, not to rush you out of Oxford, but at some point you'll have to cross the bridge into the real world that all of us adults deal with every day. What would you like to end up doing once you get out of school?
I hope to be a sort of professional league insider. You see guys like Adrian Wojnarowski, you see guys like Jeff Passan, like that type of guy. But we'll see what happens and see if everything comes into place, hopefully.
Well, I'll say this, Aidan. Of all the classifications at the big networks like ESPN, you have picked one of the best based on knowing those individuals and how valuable they are to the company. Aidan Gallardo joining us. Aidan, thank you so much for the time. We hope to see you as the season develops, and I think you're on your way. Really appreciate your time today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Aidan joining us from